She parted with her final $1,000 in savings to support a struggling veteran. Just 30 minutes later, an Army general arrived too. You entrusted your final savings to a stranger? What a simpleton. In a world where kindness often feels scarce, Mia, a gentle soul with a heart full of compassion, found herself at a crossroads. With her last $1,000 in hand, she made a choice that would ripple through the lives of others. She offered her savings to a veteran in need, a gesture that spoke volumes of her character and the light she brought into the lives of those around her. Upon the revelation of her actions to her parents, the repercussions came quickly and decisively. Only half an hour had passed when the deep rumble of Army vehicles reverberated through the street. And then, a figure emerged from the shadows. A figure poised to transform Mia's existence in unimaginable ways. Greetings, dear listeners, and welcome once more to Unveiled Narratives. Today, I have a poignant tale to unfold for you. Mia navigated the store with deliberate grace, her gaze sweeping over the shelves, intent and searching. Each item held significance. Every decision needed to be perfect. This was more than mere shopping. It was the beginning of a dream she had tirelessly pursued. After months of saving, planning, and borrowing from her parents, she was finally ready to gather the supplies to embark on her journey of launching a small coffee and pastry cart. It was neither an extravagant cafe nor a grand shopfront. Yet, it belonged to her. She could navigate bustling streets, establishing her presence in parks, beside office buildings, and outside train stations. She had intricately woven every detail into her plan. The bustling streets, the prime moments, the ideal selection. The recipes had reached their pinnacle, and the permits were all set to go. At this moment, all that remained were the essential ingredients and supplies, and she possessed precisely $1,000 to make it happen. This venture transcended mere passion. Mia navigated the bustling life of a college student, juggling her classes and part-time jobs, all while striving to lighten the burden of tuition and everyday costs. Her parents had offered their support in every way possible, yet the grip of financial strain had always been present. Her father toiled tirelessly on construction sites, while her mother took on shifts as a cashier at a quaint little store. There were months that tested the spirit more than others, and Mia sensed their concerns for what lay ahead for her. From a young age, she found joy in the art of baking, captivated by the sight of her mother skillfully rolling out dough in their cozy kitchen. Friends would often say she possessed a remarkable gift. Her pastries were a delightful blend of sweetness and warmth, each bite telling a tale of comfort and joy. In that moment, she held on to the hope that her talent might blossom into something tangible, a means to navigate her college journey while easing some of the financial burdens on her family. With a careful glance at the list she held, she ensured her spending remained within the limits she had set for herself. A hefty sack of espresso beans. A significant investment, yet utterly essential. In ample measure, flour, sugar, butter, and yeast come together, a bounty sufficient to sustain for weeks on end. She included a unique touch. In the heart of her kitchen, she carefully selected chocolate, a splash of vanilla extract, and a medley of assorted nuts, each ingredient costly yet indispensable for her exquisite pastries. In the dairy section, she gathered several gallons of milk and cream, envisioning the lattes and cappuccinos she would soon craft and serve. Then arrived the essentials: single-use coffee cups, lids, garments, and purifiers. She needed to be clever. Each dollar held significance. Mia cast her eyes over her cart. So far, the sum stands at $980. She was dancing on the edge. But fortune smiled upon her with just enough to spare. Just a single thing remains: wax paper. With that, her quest for supplies would reach its satisfying conclusion. With determination, she guided her cart towards the aisle by the pharmacy counter, on a quest for wax paper to encase her delightful pastries. As she perused the shelves, a soft, rhythmic voice drew her in. Close to the pharmacy, at the register, an elderly man stood, his voice steady yet resolute. Upon his head rested a weathered military cap, the embroidered insignia showing signs of age yet remaining distinctly identifiable. He stood tall, embodying a sense of discipline and purpose. Yet his visage, etched with the marks of time and weariness, bore the mass of an object that is more substantial. "Are you suggesting that this comes after the insurance?" he inquired, his voice unwavering yet tinged with a subtle hint of exasperation. A young woman in a crisp white coat, the chemist, cast him an apologetic glance. "Indeed, sir. While your insurance took care of a portion, there remains a balance of $1,200. The old man exhaled slowly, his fingers tracing the nape of his neck. "I lack the means for that kind of expenditure. Not at this moment." With a practiced motion, he drew forth his wallet, his fingers dancing over the well-loved bills nestled within. After a brief pause, he set down $200 on the counter. "This is everything I have. Is there anything you can share? What shall we embark on?" The chemist gently shook her head, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. "Alas, my ability to assist is limited. For the cost is determined by the maker. This is the bottom line after insurance has been accounted for." Mia lingered a few feet away, feigning interest in a shelf. Yet, her gaze drifted past the labels, lost in thought. The soft whispers of their exchange floated to her ears, subtle and overlooked by all around. The shop continued its daily rhythm, just as it always had. The sound of cash registers chimed, shopping carts clattered across the tiled floor, and customers bustled about, lost in their own worlds, oblivious to the silent battle taking place at the counter. The old man let out a breath, his lips sealing tightly together. He paused, a moment of uncertainty washing over him as he prepared to slide the cash back into his wallet. His hands, weathered and marked by time, clutched the edge of his jacket for a heartbeat before he finally took a step back. "I need this medicine," he murmured, his voice barely rising above a whisper, as if sharing a secret with the shadows around him. His voice had softened, a gentle whisper now. "Diabetes, along with a few other matters." He released a dry chuckle, yet it carried no trace of humor. "For a quarter of a century, I dedicated my life to this nation, battling so that others could live in peace." His voice trembled ever so slightly. "Who would have imagined that obtaining what I require would prove to be such a challenge?" The chemist parted her lips, a hint of a thought lingering on the tip of her tongue. Yet silence enveloped her words, leaving them unspoken. She merely observed as he walked away. Mia observed as well. His shoulders appeared slightly. He felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him, his eyes drifting to the ground, fingers tightening for just a heartbeat before he exhaled slowly, letting the tension slip away. Onlookers cast their eyes in his direction, some catching the weight of his words, while others sensed the palpable tension that hung in the atmosphere. Yet, their eyes darted elsewhere. No one stirred. No one stepped forward. Yet, Mia did. With a heart full of courage, she took a bold step forward. "Pardon me, kind sir." She spoke with a gentle grace. The seasoned veteran turned, a look of surprise crossing his face. His weary yet keen gaze locked onto hers. Mia paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. I listened to your words. Let me share with you the tale of the medicine." She shifted on her feet, searching for the perfect words to weave into her tale. "What additional amount do you require?" He observed her intently for a moment, as if seeking to unravel the reason behind her inquiry. After a moment of contemplation, he replied, $1,000. Mia released a gentle breath. Once upon a time, in abundance. He offered a subtle, understanding smile, not born of humor, but rather of acknowledgement. Indeed, medicine is not truly a matter of choice. Once more, a moment of stillness. Then, after a brief pause, he continued, "I had savings. A tale of a pension." He gave a subtle shrug. "Yet, the twists and turns of existence unfold. My beloved." He paused for a moment, then let out a breath. "Her treatments consumed the majority of it. First and foremost, you nurture those dear to your heart." His voice flowed steadily, yet a subtle anticipation lingered just beneath the surface of those words. Not a tale to be told, not a request, only a straightforward reality. Mia's fingers curled firmly around her cart. She gazed upon the elderly veteran, truly gazed upon him, not merely as an elderly figure grappling with the cost of medicine, but as a soul who had devoted everything to others, now left to navigate the path ahead in solitude. She cast a fleeting look at the treasures nestled in her cart. The hefty bag of espresso, the fine flour, the waiting cups, the smooth wax. The precise $1,000 she had meticulously saved to launch her coffee cart. Her stomach twisted in a tight coil. With a resolute heart, she embraced her choice. Mia inhaled deeply, then raised her gaze to meet the eyes of the veteran. "Would you mind pausing for just a moment?" With a deep furrow in his brow, he gave a reluctant nod. "Of course, with purpose." She pivoted and strode confidently towards the shelves. The heaviness of her choice nestled deep within her, yet she pressed on without a moment's pause. One by one, she gently returned the final item to its place, her hands unwavering. The veteran remained in the same spot she had left him, subtly shifting as if caught in a silent struggle between the choice to remain or to depart. Mia stepped forward, her resolve unwavering. With a graceful motion, she delved into her purse and retrieved 10 pristine $100 bills. In silence, she reached out her hands to him. "What is it that you seek?" He blinked, as though he were piecing together the puzzle of what she was presenting. "Please take it," Mia said softly. "It belongs to you. Your medicine is now available for purchase." The seasoned warrior paused, his eyes darting back and forth between the wealth and her visage. "My dear, this is something I cannot embrace. That's quite excessive." Mia swallowed, her voice unwavering yet brimming with feeling. "You dedicated yourself to this nation. You offered so much for those you had never even met. This is the smallest gesture I can offer you." His fingers danced restlessly, as if battling the temptation to grasp it. "Yet you haven't even begun to understand who I am. What could possibly lead you to take such a step?" She wore a smile, yet her eyes shimmered with the weight of uncried tears. "For you, this holds greater significance than it does for me." Yet, he held firm against the tide. "Yet this money, it's not merely some spare change you had tucked away, is it?" His keen, weary gaze sought hers. "What purpose did it serve?" Mia paused, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face before she finally spoke. "I was gathering my resources to launch a quaint little coffee cart, my very own venture. A vision that has lingered in my mind for ages." His jaw clenched with intensity. "So, you're letting it go for my sake?" "It's merely currency," she remarked with a straightforward air. "Your well-being takes precedence. Your medicine is essential for your survival. I can begin anew." For what felt like an eternity, he remained still. In that moment, his hands began to quiver, a subtle dance of uncertainty as he extended them forward to grasp the money. His hold grew firmer, his knuckles turning white. He released a breath that trembled with uncertainty. "I don't know what to say," he murmured softly. "Never has anyone gone to such lengths for me." Mia fought against the prickling sensation in her eyes. "Then, I ask of you one simple promise. Look after yourself." The seasoned man nodded, his throat constricting as he struggled to contain the swell of emotion within him. With trembling fingers, he retrieved an ancient phone from his pocket, its edges frayed and softened by countless years of handling. "My dear, I find myself wondering if fate will ever bring me another soul as remarkable as yours. This moment is one I wish to hold on to forever. I wish to hold on to the memory of the angel who came to my aid when no one else did. Otherwise did." He raised the phone just a bit. "May I capture a moment with a photograph?" Mia sensed a flush creeping across her cheeks, yet she nodded in agreement. Indeed, he captured a moment, his eyes shimmering with unshed tears. For a fleeting moment, he gazed at the screen, as though he were attempting to carve the instant into his very memory. With a soft chuckle, he whispered, "I want to share this with my friends." She had not embarked on this journey for the sake of being acknowledged. It was done solely because it was the right thing to do. After a moment, the veteran gazed at her with heartfelt sincerity. "Dear Miss, I cannot say when, but I assure you that I will discover a means to repay this money to you. You sacrificed your hard-earned savings for me. It feels wrong to simply take it and vanish into the shadows." Mia gently shook her head. "You need not. Embrace the journey and let your attention be on the path to improvement." Yet he pressed on, his voice now more resolute. "Kindly share with me the place where I might seek you out. Should fate ever grant me the opportunity to return this favor, I will seize it with all my heart." Touched by his gratitude, she paused for a moment before replying, "I live near Greenridge Avenue, just a few blocks from here." A thankful grin spread across his face. He nodded, as if engraving it in her mind. She turned to gaze at her once again. "Pray tell, what name do you go by?" he inquired softly. Mia paused for a moment, then replied, "Mia Taylor." The seasoned warrior nodded, clinging to her words as though they carried a weight beyond her comprehension. With a final glance filled with gratitude, he softly uttered, "Thank you, Mia. This moment will stay with me forever." As she observed him retreating towards the pharmacy, her heart danced between the lightness of hope and the weight of longing all at once. She had lost something, yet it felt strangely liberating, as if the weight of that absence had opened up new possibilities. Little did she know, This simple act of kindness was on the brink of transforming her life in ways she could never have imagined. Yet, as she lingered in that moment, the weight of her sacrifices began to envelop her. A slow dawning of the truth she had chosen to leave behind. On this day, she had envisioned finally gathering the supplies that would mark the beginning of her entrepreneurial journey. After months of anticipation and careful saving, she meticulously planned each purchase. Yet, in that moment, her hands lay bare. There were no bags, no materials. Only the heavy burden of her own decision resting upon her. She felt no remorse. Not really. The veteran had a greater need for it than she did. Yet, as she approached her home, a constriction began to settle in her chest. What tale would she weave for her parents? They had given up so much for her. Her father toiled for countless hours at the construction site, returning home with weary joints and clothes marked by the dust of his labor. Her mother stood behind a cashier's counter all day, skillfully stretching every dollar to keep the family afloat. When Mia sought assistance to launch her business, they offered what little support they could muster, placing their trust in her sense of responsibility. At this moment, she found herself with nothing to display for her efforts. Her stomach knotted with tension. She felt a deep sense of gratitude, knowing she couldn't ask them for more, not after this moment. But what would she weave into her tale when they inquired about the supplies? Her mother would sense it right away. Questions would arise, frustration might bubble up, and perhaps even anger would take hold. With a slow exhale, she tightened her grip on the strap of her bag. The path was set, and there was no turning back. She was compelled to confront them. With a deep breath, Mia journeyed home, each step laden with the weight of her thoughts. As she crossed the threshold, the soft, steady murmur of the house wrapped around her, causing a weight to settle in her chest. She had anticipated this moment, readying herself for the inquiries that would come. Yet, in this moment, the burden of it seemed to grow more profound. From the kitchen, her mother cast a quick glance, and a frown creased her brow. "Pray tell, where might the supplies be found?" Her father, weary from the day's toil, lifted his gaze from the table. His gaze held steady on her unoccupied hands. "Mia, what troubles your heart?" She paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. The words hung heavy in the air, a truth that could no longer be ignored. "I handed the money to a person in need." A hush lingered in the air, a moment suspended in time. Her mother's expression grew tense. "What do you mean you parted with it?" Mia took a deep breath and swallowed. A veteran stood outside the pharmacy. He sought funds for his healing elixir. Her father exhaled deeply, his hand moving to rub his face. "Mia, please tell me this is just a jest." Her mother's voice took on a cutting edge. "For months, you've been gathering your treasures. We extended our hand to you, and you chose to hand it over to someone unknown?" Her father leaned forward, his voice steady and resolute. "Did you catch a glimpse of a prescription? Did you witness him acquiring the medicine?" Mia opened her mouth, yet before she could respond, he let out a scoff. But do you truly understand whether he was in need of it, Mia? Do you believe that individuals don't weave tales? He likely anticipated your arrival and took you for a fool." With a weary sigh, her mother rubbed her temples, a gesture steeped in the weight of untold stories. "Mia, that money belonged to more than just you. It belonged to us as well. We toiled with dedication for it." Yet, Mia remained resolute. "It was not a deception. I witnessed his struggle, Dad. He didn't even inquire with me. It was clear to me that he was in need of assistance." Her father released a soft, dry chuckle, shaking his head with a knowing smile. "Indeed. I can imagine him chuckling at this very moment, tallying up your earnings. Share with me, Mia, what rewards came your way for placing your trust so freely?" A heavy sensation settled in her throat. She found herself without a response. Their words pressed down on her chest, constricting with every pulse of her heart. They were blind to the depths of his gaze. Unable to grasp the desperation that lingered there, the silent plea hidden beneath the layers of his pride. With a quiver in her voice, she fought against the swell of emotion that threatened to choke her. She gazed at them, her heart heavy with the hope that they might grasp her unspoken thoughts. Then, a low, deep rumble echoed through the air. It emerged from beyond the familiar, a tremor coursing beneath the ground. Mia's father wore a furrowed brow. What was that? Her mother gazed out the window. A deep furrow etched on her brow. The noise swelled, echoing through the air. Engines, a multitude. The sound of tires crunching against the pavement fills the air. Automobiles coming to a gradual halt. The house seemed to vibrate with an unseen energy. Mia took a deep breath, moving closer to the door as shadows danced playfully on the curtains. The streetlights stood like sentinels, their elongated shadows stretching across the pavement, each one a figure of precision and order. In the open air, armored vehicles stood in formation along the street. In the shadows, dark SUVs and armored transports stood sentinel, arranged in flawless formation. In perfect formation, soldiers emerged, their crisp uniforms gleaming under the sun, boots echoing against the pavement in a rhythmic march, all eyes steadfastly locked on Mia's house. At the heart of the scene was a man whose mere presence spoke volumes, Army General Ethan Caldwell. His uniform, embellished with medals that shimmered softly, bore the burden of innumerable battles. For silver stars shimmered upon his shoulder. Within those walls, a hush enveloped the space. Mia's parents shared a glance filled with unspoken tension. Her father approached the window, gently drawing back the curtain to catch a glimpse of the world beyond. "What brings them to this place?" he whispered softly. Her mother gripped the table's edge, her gaze locked on the door. As they drew near, their footsteps echoed with purpose, each step measured and intentional. Her mother grasped her arm tightly. "What brings them to this place?" Her voice trembled, barely above a whisper. The footsteps came to a halt at the porch. Then, a resolute knock echoed through the silence. With a haunting creak, the door swung open. Mia stood still, her breath caught in her throat as an army general entered the room. His uniform stood crisp, a testament to his attention to detail, while his eyes sparkled with a sharpness that held a gentle kindness within. The air hung heavy, a silence enveloping everything around. "Mia Taylor," he spoke, his tone steady yet inviting. "With a heart full of gratitude, I stand before you to express thanks on behalf of countless veterans and their families." Mia's parents shared a knowing look. Her father moved with an air of discomfort. "For what purpose?" Mia inquired, her voice gentle and soothing. The general advanced, the sound of his boots echoing softly against the wooden floor. "The seasoned individual you assisted recounted your tale on the internet." He yearned for the world to hear the tale of the young woman who selflessly offered her savings to aid a stranger. Mia felt a flutter in her chest. "Pray tell, how did you come to discover this?" A subtle smile graced the general's lips. His post resonated with thousands, capturing the attention of many of our brave soldiers. "Your kindness served as a gentle reminder that they are not forgotten." With a flourish, he reached into his coat, retrieving a phone and presenting it to her with a sense of purpose. "Behold, witness it for yourself." Mia grasped the phone. Displayed on the screen was an image of her. It was the image captured by the veteran within the store, the very one she had not known he had shared. Yet, he had shared it, presenting it as a sincere expression of appreciation, accompanied by a caption that now awakened something profound within her. Her eyes wandered to the caption below the photo, the words carrying a gravity all their own, and as she started to read, her breath caught in her throat. With a heart full of generosity, she handed over the money she had been saving for herself, without a moment's pause. In a realm where many avert their gaze, she illuminated the truth that kindness endures. Mia's gaze softened as she immersed herself in the words before her. The tale unfolded further. Her small act of compassion offered me more than mere medicine. It filled my heart with hope. To the young woman who decided to lend a hand to a stranger, you may not fully grasp the ripple effect of your kindness, but you have woven a thread of connection that has reached far beyond your sight. Mia's eyes brimmed with tears. With the phone tightly grasped in her hand, a tide of emotion surged within her chest. Her father moved nearer, his hand softly settling on her shoulder. Beside him, her mother fought to hold back tears, her eyes sparkling with pride. The general inclined his head in acknowledgement. "You've demonstrated that a simple gesture of goodwill can transform a life. At this moment, we are privileged to offer something in return." With a subtle flourish, he delved into his pocket and retrieved a delicate velvet box, its presence hinting at secrets yet to be unveiled. As he opened it, a civilian Medal of Honor shimmered brilliantly against the dark fabric, a testament to valor and recognition. With a heart full of compassion, Mia gasped softly as he placed the medal in her hand. The weight carried a significance that was both tangible and profound. Before she could utter a word, the general delved into his coat once more, this time presenting a sealed white envelope. "And this," he said with a warm smile, is a symbol of appreciation from those whose lives you've influenced. Mia delicately peeled open the envelope, her fingers quivering with anticipation. Within the envelope lay a certificate bestowing upon her a complete college scholarship, accompanied by a check to kickstart her coffee venture. Her breath hitched as the weight of the revelation settled in. Bid farewell to the burdens of tuition worries. The time has come to pursue her dream without delay. The veterans you inspired wish to express their gratitude, the general murmured gently. United in purpose, they forged a path to bring this vision to life. Mia held the envelope close to her heart, her eyes brimming with tears. The generosity she had shared came back to her in a manner beyond her wildest dreams. I don't know what to say, she murmured softly. Your actions have already spoken the words you wish to convey. The general took a step back, offering a nod to her parents. You've nurtured a daughter whose spirit transforms the world around her. Her father's smile, often hidden away, blossomed forth with a warmth of pride. With a warm embrace, her mother enveloped Mia, their tears intertwining. But this time, they flowed with the sweetness of joy. The general made his way to the door, stopping for a moment before stepping outside. With a warm smile, he cast his gaze back at Mia. Compassion extends beyond our understanding. Always hold it close to your heart. As he emerged into the world beyond, the soldiers remained poised, their forms rigid and unwavering, while the door whispered shut in his wake. Quiet enveloped the room, yet the general's words hung like a heavy mist, refusing to dissipate. Mia held the metal close, its cool surface anchoring her amidst the tempest of feelings swirling within. A wave of disbelief washed over her, mingling with gratitude and a profound sense of purpose that filled her heart. Her father stood beside her, his eyes shimmering with a mix of pride and emotion. With a gentle touch on her shoulder, he took a moment to gather his thoughts, clearing his throat as he prepared to speak. Mia, I see now that my doubts were misplaced. Your actions held a significance beyond what I ever could have envisioned. With a gentle embrace, her mother enveloped Mia, drawing her in tightly. We are filled with pride for the remarkable woman you have grown into. Mia felt a heaviness in her chest, tears brimming as she melted into her mother's embrace once more. Their words, like a gentle fire, dissolved the lingering doubt that had taken residence in her heart. As the months drifted by, life started to reveal itself to Mia in ways she had only ever imagined. On a bustling street corner, her coffee cart, adorned in a cozy cream hue with elegant golden lettering, drew in a crowd of cheerful patrons. The air was thick with the delightful scent of coffee and pastries as Mia served steaming cups to the familiar faces around her, veterans who had stood by her side, neighbors who had turned into regulars, and strangers whose smiles ignited a warmth within her heart. With her education funded, she could finally lift her family's burdens, assisting with bills, treating her parents to dinners, and repaying the kindness they had bestowed upon her. Every day, as she toiled under the vast expanse of the sky, the framed metal beside her cash register whispered tales of the incredible journey sparked by a single act of kindness. Gratitude for your presence in this tale. If this tale resonated with you, be sure to give that like button a tap and subscribe to the channel for more uplifting narratives. Pass this video along to those dear to your heart. It could illuminate their day or offer them a fresh viewpoint. Before you leave, take a moment to watch the video on your screen. It's another touching tale that you definitely won't want to overlook.